How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge. I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Now, I get a lot of questions from people saying, look, Ethan, I'm creating a ton of content every single day. I'm engaging with the community, but I just don't seem to be getting any leads. I can't monetize my page. And most of the time, there are actually a lot of reasons as to why this is the case. Yes, you may be posting every day, and yes, you may be engaging with the community, but that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get inbound leads. So therefore, you need to be making sure you are nailing down a lot of things. And it's in today's episode that I'm actually going to talk about some reasons why you may not be generating leads from your content. Because at the end of the day, your content should be making you money. It should be generating those inbound leads. So if it isn't, stick around and I'm going to tell you exactly why your content may not be generating you leads at this moment in time. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into the first point. Now, the first point is pretty simple, but your audience, people visiting your page, potential customers, may have no idea what you sell. Now, for this point, I'm going to look at it from a content perspective, the content you're actually producing. So let's use my service for an example, helping people establish themselves as an authority so that they can monetize their Instagram page. Now, my content needs to reflect the service I offer. And I see people make this mistake time and time again. They will have that as their service, yet their content is selfies. Their content is them talking about what they ate for dinner that evening. Little things like this. And I think, okay, yeah, you're posting every single day and you're being consistent with your content, but it has no relevance whatsoever to the thing that you are actually trying to sell. Quotes is another thing. Yes, quotes perform well, but they're not going to generate you any leads because a quote doesn't show your expertise in teaching people how to build up their authority on social media so that they can monetize. People often chase the vanity metrics because that is that short-term self-fulfillment. They are seeing the fact they're getting likes by posting a quote or posting one of these cheesy posts that they know will get them likes, but in reality, that's not actually doing anything for them. Yes, it's getting them likes, but what use are those likes if they are not generating you inbound leads? And that is something I tell everyone. You need to be making sure the content you actually create reflects the service or offer you provide. Now, people will often go, oh yeah, but that will reduce my engagement. That will reduce the likes I get. But me personally, I'd rather post a piece of content that gets 150 likes but 3 leads than a post that gets 2,000 likes and no leads. Because no leads is no money. 3 leads is money. Now, yes, one post got 3,000 likes and one post only got 150, but I am on Instagram to build a business, not to get likes. So if I'm generating leads from my content, that is the thing I want to do. So therefore, I'm going to create content tailored to the offer or service I am providing, which in turn is going to show my expertise on that offer or service, which will make people interested in hiring me to help them solve that problem that my offer or service solves. It's as simple as that. So the first thing you need to make sure you are doing is making sure the content you produce actually relates to the product or service you provide. That way, when people stumble across your page and they see your content, they will know what you sell just from that alone. They don't have to do some digging. They don't have to visit your website. They don't have to guess. They don't have to ask you. They know. So if they have that problem and they want you to solve it, they can reach out and there you go. That is your lead from your content. So, number 1, make sure the content you produce indicates the product or service you are offering. Now, point number 2 segues quite nicely from the point I've just spoken about. Yes, your content may be catered to your product or service and be around the same niche, but are you actually talking about your product or service within your content? You'll notice a lot on this podcast, the examples I use of the product or service is the service that I'm actually offering myself. I'm not plucking an example out the air. I'm strategically talking about the product or service I offer so that people subconsciously know that is the thing that I do. That is the thing I can help them with. I'm not just doing it because it's easy for me. I'm doing it because it's a marketing technique. If you know what offer I can provide to you guys, you're much more likely to come to me because I've spoken about it and you know I can help you solve that problem. You're not going to go to someone else. But if you aren't actually talking about your offer, then how are people supposed to know about it? Yes, your content may help them solve a problem within that niche, and therefore it's related. But on your final slide, are you telling people about that offer? Are you telling people you've got a product or service that helps them solve further problems within that niche? Are you using it as an example like I do? Are you telling people to visit the link in your description and that's where you can find your offer? These are all the different things you need to be considering, because if you aren't actually talking about your offer, then nobody's going to know that you actually have a product or service to give to them. And it's a really, really simple step, but many forget it. And then they'll come to me and they'll go, Ethan, I'm creating tailored content like you said, but I'm still not getting leads. And I'm going, well, do they know you've got the offer in the first place? Are you actually talking about it? And they'll go, well, no. And then I'll go, okay, well, there you go then. Instant solution. Just tell them you've got that offer. If they don't know about that offer, then obviously they're never going to approach you about it because they don't know it exists. So yes, this is a very simple point, but do it. It's okay. It's okay to talk about your offer. You continue to provide value every single day through your content. And yes, people don't have to buy your offer. They can still just consume your free value. But you have every right to tell people about it because you continue to provide them with this free value. So, tip number 2, mention your offer. Talk about it. It's okay. So now let's move on to reason number 3. And this is probably because you aren't actually treating your Instagram as a sales funnel. Instagram, if you think about it, is a marketing technique. You are posting content. That is content marketing. What is the goal of marketing? To increase revenue. So you should be using Instagram as a leverage point to send people further down your funnel. Your Instagram page isn't your business. You use Instagram to leverage an audience to increase sales within your business. You should be redirecting them down the funnel. This is just a place to grab attention to which you can then redirect them to your website, send them to your DMs so that you can set up a discovery call outside of Instagram so that you can sell them something. If you aren't treating Instagram like a sales funnel and getting people to that point, then you aren't going to make any sales. You can't just continue to post content and expect people to come to you. You have to be thinking about things. You have to be having a call to action. You have to be having a website link in your bio or somewhere, not necessarily a website, but somewhere people can visit so that you can get them to a place where you can actually talk to them and sell them something. DMs is a perfect example. A discovery call, which you can easily put in a Linktree link in your bio. Something along those lines. You need to be treating it as a funnel. With Instagram, it's pretty simple. You post content. People see your content. At some point on your content, you have a call to action. You need to have a call to action. You need to be telling people what they need to do once they've consumed your post. You have grabbed their attention, and now that you have captured it, you want to retain it. You want to send them further down your funnel. So what do? You tell them to go and visit the link in your bio. You tell them to send you a DM if they want to learn more. You tell them to comment to where you can then begin that interaction with them and build that relationship. Each step, you are sending someone further down your funnel to the point where they can eventually buy your product or service. You can't just post a piece of content and expect people to go, I like that, I want to hire them. You need to be having a call to action, telling them to visit your bio so they can book a free 15-minute discovery call. You've now sent them to the next stage in your funnel. You can then talk to them on that 15-minute discovery call and really talk about your product or service, show your expertise, tell them why they need it, how you can solve their problems, and then that is when you get the sale. Treat your Instagram like a sales funnel. Instagram is not your business. Instagram helps you build your business because you can leverage your audience that you have built on that platform. So tip number 3, make sure you are treating your social media like a sales funnel. Leverage your audience and make sales elsewhere. Now, moving on to tip number 4, and this is something that I am a big fan of and a lot of people do use very, very well, but there's a lot of people that don't use it very, very well. Now, Stories are the perfect place to actually sell your product or service. They're much more laid back, they disappear in 24 hours, they're much less pushy, and you don't necessarily want to be posting about your product or service on every single post you create within your feed. It's okay to do it every now and again, but arguably you want your feed to be the place where you display your expertise and you give that free value, and therefore you shouldn't speak too much about your product or service specifically for one entire post. Mention it on your final slide if you're producing a carousel or at the end of your caption, because yes, you have grabbed that attention and you want to retain it and redirect them elsewhere, like I mentioned in the last point. But stories are the perfect place to actually talk about your product because they're in a much more laid back setting. You're just holding up the camera. It's much more authentic. You're talking to that person on a more personal level, and it gives you that opportunity to really hit home on those emotions and connect on that personal level with them, which then in turn makes them want to DM you and learn further about that product or service. Your stories shouldn't just be a place where you share your new pieces of content. You provide extra value in your stories, and within that extra value, you can now have that opportunity to where you can go, oh, by the way, guys, I've opened up some new coaching slots. I've just released a new ebook, you should go visit the link in bio. Or if you've got over 10,000 followers, use the swipe up link. Things like that. You need to be selling in your stories because they are the place that you will convert customers. People that view your stories are the people that are most engaged with your content. Not every one of your followers will view your story. People will view your story if they love you as an individual and the content you actually produce, because that's the way the stories algorithm works. The people you interact with most are the people's stories that you are shown. So you can safely assume that every single person that views your story is very engaged with what you do, and therefore those individuals are the ones that are most likely to buy your product or service. So if you can actually talk about that product or service within your stories, you're much more likely to get them talk to you in the DMs. It's really easy to redirect someone to your DMs with the story. You can either use the story sticker or they can just swipe up and react. But it's also just a much easier way because it is more raw. It is more authentic. It's less polished. It's not like a carousel that you spend 30, 40 minutes creating and changing the copy or whatever. You are talking into the camera face to face, directly, hit post, done. No edit in post-production. It's just as simple as record and post, and people like that. So when you're actually trying to sell them something, it's much less pushy and a little bit more authentic. So if you aren't selling in your stories already, please make sure you are. You will see some success. Now, moving on to the final point, and this is one that many of you are going to have to sort of realize that you may be doing, and it's just you're not being stubborn enough when people just continue to leech off of your expertise and the value you provide. You post content all the time on your feed. I post daily. Yes, people will DM and ask you for help, and yes, you should help them, but you are going to get people who continuously ask you for help over and over and over again. You have to draw a line somewhere. You provide more than enough value within the content on your page. If people want to continue to follow you and consume your content for free, albeit that's fine. But if they want that extra help, they can't expect to just come and DM you every single time they have a problem. That is where you need to be saying, look, I really appreciate your support and I completely understand you have these problems. If my content hasn't helped you, I can think about posting a post in the future, but if you want that help now, we're going to have to jump on a coaching call or something like that. I can't continue to help you for free in the DMs because there are people that pay me to solve those problems for them. I provide free content every single day. You can continue to provide that value. You're not going to say this to them, but you need to be blunt with them. They can't continue to leech off of you because you've helped them once or twice. You need to draw a line somewhere and say to them, do it in a polite way. Oh, you have those problems. Let's hop on a 15-minute discovery call and talk about a potential coaching session where we can solve all of these problems. You don't have to do it in a mean way. You don't have to go straight up and say, look, I'm not providing you any more value in the DMs. You've asked too much. Do it in a nice way. Slowly feed in your product or service and tell them that they probably should start a coaching session because if they've got all of these problems, an hour discussion could solve all of them. And the value they're going to get out of that hour is incredible in comparison to the amount of money they're going to be spending. But you have to draw that line. Stop continuing to help people in the DMs over and over and over again, because they will take advantage of you if you do not draw that line. As I said, you produce more than enough value for these individuals in the content you post on your feed, in your stories, and yes, answer 1 or 2 questions if you get them every now and again, but you will see people who continue to come back. With those people, try and leverage that, get them on a discovery call and explain to them how your product or service can help them. And that does wrap up all of my points as to why your content may not be generating you leads at the moment. And I hope it has opened your eyes to new possibilities, new opportunities on what you could tweak and change so that your content does generate you leads in the future. And that does wrap up today's video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turn on post notifications. That way you will never miss an episode when I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if you did enjoy today's episode, I just wanted to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School. You can find it on pretty much any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Google, you name it. Just head over to one of those platforms, search Social Media Marketing School, and you will find it there. And the reason to be subscribed on the audio version of the podcast is because this content is actually released a couple of days earlier over there, and then a couple of days later here on YouTube. So if you want to consume this sooner, make sure you're subscribing. But if you did have any questions with regards to anything I've mentioned in today's episode, please just reach out to me on Instagram at @themarketingethan, drop me a DM and I'll make sure I get back to you. But I just want to finish off by saying, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.